Donald Trump's worst nightmare is here. The American people want him impeached and want him impeached now. Only 37% of Americans say he should not be impeached. Overwhelmingly, Americans say he needs to be impeached now. At least 55% of Americans strongly believe he should be impeached. There's a 66% chance that he gets impeached as soon as Democrats take control of the House. And when you look at poll after poll, Donald Trump's approval is not only tanking, it's the worst in presidential history. I've reported on this before, but the latest AP NORC poll has Donald Trump's approval at 33%. It dropped 9 points since February before he launched the Iran war, officially the worst approval really since the time Nixon resigned, and Donald Trump's approval is worse amongst independents than when Nixon resigned. That's the AP NORC poll, but you take a look at the state regime media known as Fox poll, and Donald Trump's approval there, only 42% on the issue of inflation. He's net negative 44 on government spending. He's net negative 34 on the economy. He's net negative 32 on the Iran war, net negative 26 on the issue of foreign policy, net negative 20 on what's supposed to be his strongest issue, immigration. He's net negative 8. This is a total disaster. Now, people are also pointing to Donald Trump's own words back in 2008 when Donald Trump said that George W. Bush needed to be impeached immediately for lying about the war, the same way Donald Trump has lied about his catastrophic and unlawful war in Iran. Here, Donald Trump this is from 2008. Here's what he says. Here, play this clip.
Wonderful thing.
Impeaching him?
Absolutely. For the war. For the war.
Because of the conduct of the
war. He
war.
lied. He got us into the war with lies. And, I mean, look at the trouble Bill Clinton got into with something that was totally unimportant. And they tried to impeach him, which was nonsense. And yet Bush got us into this horrible war with lies, by lying, by saying they had weapons of mass destruction, by saying all sorts of things that turned out not to be true.
Also, when you look at that latest Fox poll that I shared with you, 56% of voters say that Donald Trump's administration is not even competent enough to run government. It can't even function competently. You know, what's notable too about some of these polls, 1 in 5 of Donald Trump's MAGA supporters want to see Donald Trump impeached. Can I repeat that again? 1 in 5 MAGA want Donald Trump impeached. And I think that number is going to continue to grow and grow as Donald Trump continues to attack MAGA. I mean, look what Megyn Kelly just said on her latest podcast about Donald Trump's behavior and his attacks on MAGA. Play this clip.
There are aspects of his personality which are obviously not good, and that we've mostly just chosen to overlook. You know, he's not a moral man. He's obviously not the greatest husband in the world. And he's extremely petty and thin-skinned, extremely petty and thin-skinned. And what we're seeing right now is he's turning on his most loyal supporters because they don't support this war, and getting in bed with people who fucking hate him and have hated him from the beginning and were the original Never Trumpers, as though that's what MAGA is. That's what his core support should look like. Meanwhile, there are many who are over here who have loved Trump for many, many years. We've had our skirmishes in the past. Tucker's had skirmishes with him. I have too, but who fought harder than a lot of others during the lawfare against him to make sure people knew that it was bullshit, stood up for him during the actual electoral contest to make sure people understood what was at stake and why he had to be the choice, who he just, you know, there's no loyalty in return ever from Trump, ever. If you have a principled disagreement with something he does, you're otherized. You're the enemy.
Now, when you look at Donald Trump's behavior generally, it's just lie after lie and just oddity after oddity. And it's making us so dangerous. I mean, you know, you have people running the counterterrorism within the Department of Homeland Security. People like Thomas Fugate, this 22-year-old former Trump intern with zero national security experience. You thought it was bad enough that this guy was running national security and counterterrorism with Kash Patel at the head of the FBI. Well, now we learned about this Julie Vivaro, who was on this sugar daddy website, and she's the deputy counterterrorism official. You see her right here. She posted photos with sugar daddies like this. She's horny, and apparently she would go on these sugar daddy websites and like ask for 30 grand or 40 grand a month from her sugar daddies. And the Daily Mail reported that the secret sugar daddy sex scandal is now rocking Trump's counterterrorism headquarters. She was just placed on leave, but whether you have Vivaro, whether you have Donald Trump, his labor secretary was just fired. Lori Chavez DeRemer, and the reports from the New York Post, which is a Murdoch rag, by the way, had her going to, she went to strip clubs, and there was booze drinking and Vegas trips. And then her husband was accused of sexual misconduct and banned from the Department of Labor building. Yesterday, you had Donald Trump firing the Navy Secretary, John Phelan, during a war when there's a naval blockade in the Persian Gulf. Donald Trump fired John Phelan, his Secretary of the Navy, and it got really weird because Hegseth was the one who did the firing, even though it has to come from Donald Trump. So John Phelan, this Navy Secretary, went to the White House and was like, come on, are you really firing me, Donald? Are you really firing me, Donald? And Donald's like, you didn't build my battleships. I wanted the Trump battleships. You didn't build. Apparently Donald Trump thinks you can build battleships like in 6 months. And Donald Trump doesn't like aircraft carriers or stealth ships. He wants Trump battleships that look like the types of like clunky ships that existed during World War I. And that's what he wanted. And John Phelan wouldn't build those. So that's why Trump wanted him gone. Hegseth wanted him gone because he refused to just abide by everything that Hegseth was saying. So is there any wonder why the Trump regime, why the American people want these individuals, these vile individuals impeached, and why they're the least popular in presidential history? I mean, you take a look at just some of the other facts. The Trump regime is lying about Iran's naval capabilities and military capabilities. I mean, I'll show you this B-roll right here. You have Iran releasing video of them boarding two major cargo ships that they stopped at the Strait of Hormuz, showing they control the Strait of Hormuz, and they're going to board ships and block ships that come. Before Donald Trump launches unlawful and catastrophic war, Iran didn't control the Strait of Hormuz. Now they do control the Strait of Hormuz. So there's that. Also, Iran has massive quantities of its ballistic missiles, Shahed drones, FPV drones, unmanned vessel drones as well. CBS reports the Islamic Republic of Iran maintains more military capabilities than the White House or Pentagon has publicly admitted, according to multiple U.S. officials with knowledge of the intelligence in this matter. And now our military is just leaking. All the top generals are leaking all this stuff about Donald Trump, how they want to keep him out of the Situation Room, how his erratic behavior is so disruptive to the ability to negotiate, how weak and pathetic Donald Trump is, how his erratic behavior makes it impossible to have any competent discussions with Iran because Iran's trying to get clarity. Like, what are you asking for? And you said you agreed to the 10-point negotiating framework. Now you claim you aren't agreeing to the negotiating framework. One day you're going to obliterate the civilization if we don't meet the deadline. Then when Iran refuses to meet the fake deadlines that Donald Trump sets, Donald Trump unilaterally extends the deadlines. Now there's an indefinite extension of the ceasefire. Again, Trump sets these red lines. If you don't do it by this date, I'm going to blow you up. And then the date passes and Donald Trump chickens out. And then Donald Trump says he's too scared to do the invasion, but he wants to, threaten via social media, all caps posts. And Iran knows that he's a paper tiger and that he's really terrified of a ground invasion. And I guess Donald Trump thinks he's going to dominate via social media posts. And Iran's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And so you have that. Then you have like Donald Trump, like making up fake stories about himself. So earlier yesterday, he posted this story, which most people claim is just not true at all. To the Iranian leaders who will soon be in negotiations with my representatives, I would greatly appreciate the release of these women. I am sure they will respect the fact that you did so. Please do them no harm. It's frankly unclear who these women are. There are some people say the photo looks like it's AI generated. I'm not going to doubt that there may be 8 women in Iran who are in prison right now, and may be facing serious consequences, but I'm not sure it's these individuals, and it's not a death penalty sentence. And people who have looked into this have said, yeah, I'm not really sure who these people are. Regardless, most people believe this entire story is like completely fake and that there was no imminent execution. But then Donald Trump announces that he secured the deal himself to release these women. He saved the women, he says. Very good news. I've just been informed that the 8 women protesters who are going to be executed will no longer be killed. 4 will be released immediately and 4 will be sentenced to 1 month in prison. I very much appreciate that Iran saying, dude, what? I mean, Iran's doing all these like Lego videos and all these social media posts mocking Donald Trump. And Iran's like, what the hell are you talking about? You've just made up a fake story about these women. That's not true. We're not talking to you at all, period. We didn't release these women based on what you've said. We didn't release these. We don't even know what you're talking about here. Like, who are these people? What are you talking about? No one's negotiating with the Trump regime right now. I'm not going to show you the video again, but Iran keeps making these videos showing he's like negotiating with himself or like puppet dolls that he believes is MB Ghalibaf and Aragchi. And, and Pezeshkian and all the Iranian people. It's like, dude, who are you even talking to right now? I'm not even going to read this, but this is an actual post that Donald Trump made. It's like he wrote like a storybook. Do you see how long this is? I mean, this guy's a deranged maniac. He then posts exclusive breaking the law expose reveals Biden White House orchestrated lawfare against Donald Trump to rig the 2024 election. Again, it's just such loser behavior. Oh, and then he posted the following: anyone sick of winning yet? To which the Iran consulate in India and Hyderabad mocks him. They're like, I'm pretty sure sharing this is trolling by itself. And then I'll just show you two over here. I mean, in terms of like Donald Trump's, like just how weak and pathetic he is. Remember when he wanted to rig the maps, like in Texas, he was like, we're going to rig the maps and we're going to win 5 seats. And then when Virginia does its own gerrymandering, and I know that there's a lower court in Virginia that blocked the referendum, but it's a very partisan right-wing judge. We expect that to be overturned and for the referendum to stand, but we'll follow what's going to happen. But anyway, the point is then Donald Trump complains that Virginia did gerrymandering when Donald Trump did gerrymandering in Texas. Just watch what he said first on July 15, 2025, and then what he said April 20th, 2025. Here, play this clip.
On Texas, how many more seats do you want the Republicans to draw? 5. And then what if California, New York, Illinois, and other blue states?
Yeah, well, that's
decide to do
okay
this?
too, but 5. I think we get 5. And there could be some other states. We're going to get another 3 or 4 or 5 in addition. Texas would be the biggest one. And
So are you calling in for a complete redrawing of the congressiontional map ahead of next year?
Just a very simple redrawing. We pick up 5 seats.
And
But we
it?
have a couple of other states where we'll pick up seats also.
What's going to happen if we lose these elections, the House, and in this case, the House, and just it's going to be a disaster. If they do this, they're guaranteed to pick up a lot of seats. And everybody knows it's unjust, including them.
In terms of Donald Trump's just sinking approval, you can see right here just how bad Donald Trump's approval is, whether it's on tariffs, and especially contrasted to other foreign leaders, how despised Donald Trump is. Let's play this clip.
Just take a look here. I mean, this just gives you the name of the game. Americans on Trump and tariff in the 2024 election versus Kamala Harris. Look at this. Trump was trusted more on tariffs by 12 points. But look at his net approval rating down. Look at that. That's an over 40-point shift away from the President of the United States. He's 48 points underwater with independents on tariffs. This is just a political disaster. And the longer he drags it out, the more and more it can hurt his political standing.
Well, it certainly hurt the economies, not just the people's pockets, businesses' pockets, but also the world. Did anyone benefit from this when it comes to like global leadership?
Yeah, the people who stood up against Donald Trump. That's who benefited from it. I mean, just take a look here. I mean, Mark Carney, obviously in Canada, look at this. His net approval rating plus 24 points. How about the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum? Look at this, plus 41 points on the net approval rating. So the people who stood up to Trump on tariffs, those are the people who benefited versus Donald Trump. When he went up against these world leaders, well, he just went right straight into the political basement.
And then I'll show you this over here. Professor Pape, renowned professor over at, I believe, University of Chicago. Here's how he describes the situation in Iran and how Donald Trump will go down as the worst president in history. Play this clip.
Iran has learned something, I think even more than their material gains. They learned something in the last 8 weeks they did not know before, which is they can beat America, not just survive. They can actually beat America. And they're not just beating Donald Trump. Nobody in America is coming up with this brilliant plan where you're going to use escalation dominance that we're all going to be happy with to win. And I'm saying this is not good. This is not good. When a major rival in the world really understands they can beat you here, this is different. And this is what Donald Trump has done more than anything else. He's given Iran actual knowledge they did not have before They had uncertainty before, and they thought, well, could they survive?
Mm-hmm.
This is way beyond survival. And this is why what's happened here is Trump will go down as the worst president probably ever that we've had, worse than Jimmy Carter, worse than Lyndon Johnson. And this catastrophic disaster will probably go down, certainly the worst since Vietnam. And it won't have necessarily the military casualties of Vietnam, but Vietnam did not wreck the world's economy.
Yeah.
And the 2003 Iraq War did not wreck the world's economy. We didn't have gas prices shooting up like this in that. That's why this is Donald Trump this is all on his back, and Iran is not letting him off the hook with some face-saving gesture, and that's going to frustrate people. But now come January, so as bad as I'm painting it, I'm saying it's going to possibly get much worse here, because I think they want to torpedo Trump's presidency more than the Democrats want to do it. I mean, imagine that. They want to do it worse than the Democrats.
Right, yeah.
So what you're getting here is maybe by January, here, when Trump's presidency is thoroughly wrecked, unrecoverable, the Republicans want to get him out of Dodge, not just simply the Democrats here, then you might actually have a situation where they want to, because they will be around for decades, okay? And the U.S. will be around for decades. But I really think this is this missing ingredient that I'm not hearing in the media, that Iran, I think, has a true interest in wrecking Trump's presidency. And send me emails, folks. Listen, if I'm missing this on all these other channels, you just let me know. I'm on those channels. I'm watching them on TV. I'm listening to them on podcasts. I'm just not hearing people explain that Iran wants to wreck Trump's presidency. And that's going to take some time. I mean, if you're really going to do this for real, you see, and make it so he can't come back. After January 6th, the Democrats let him back in office. I mean, think about that. They weren't. You want to wreck a president, you got to do worse than what happened here. And I think they're trying to do that.
And then more numbers coming in as well. This from Harry Enton over at CNN talking about Donald Trump's approval at all-time lows. And this was before the AP Norc poll came out. And as Enton goes, ruh-roh, here, play this clip.
Yeah, okay. Americans say inflation is the number one issue facing them right now. And to quote the great Happy Gilmore, according to them, the price is wrong when it comes to the president of the United States. Just take a look at these net approval ratings when it comes to inflation. The president of the United States is hitting all-time record lows in all of these polls, and all of them. NBC came out yesterday, 36 points underwater. CBS came out a few weeks ago, 38 points underwater. Ipsos, Reuters, 43 points underwater. CNN came out earlier this month, 45 points underwater. And taking the cake is UMass Amherst, 47 points underwater across all of these polls. Trump is in his worst position ever on the issue that the American people say over and over and over again is their key number one issue.
Was it always thus?
No, it wasn't this always thus, Mr. Berman. And this is what is so amazing to me. I mean, these shifts that we're just seeing, my goodness gracious, voters on Trump and inflation. In the 2024 election, remember, Trump got reelected to a second term and Joe Biden got pushed to the curb in large part because Americans felt he couldn't handle inflation. Trump was more trusted than Kamala Harris on inflation by 7 points. Look at his net approval right now. You average all those polls on the first side of your screen, 42 points underwater. That is a nearly 50-point shift away from the president of the United States.
A nearly 50-point shift. That's bad. What's worse?
Yeah, what's worse? You think this is bad, a nearly 50-point shift. How about a 70-point shift? I'm laughing because you never see numbers like this. Look at this. Independence on Trump and inflation. In the 2024 election versus Harris, Trump was favored by 10 points. Down he goes. Down he goes. He's down to 60 points underwater on inflation. That is a 70-point shift in a little bit less than 2 years worth of time.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think about all of this. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thank you all so much for watching. Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.